Imagine a life where every action is intentional, every breath carries meaning, and your mind is as clear as still water amidst the rushing current of the world. You are no longer pulled by noise, no longer swept into daily collisions, but stand firm like a mountain in the winds of change. To live mindfully is to live consciously. Every word, every thought, every deed arises from awareness instead of unconscious reaction. When the mind is sharpened like a blade, you are no longer disturbed by the noise outside, nor led astray by fleeting emotions. You see things as they are, no addition, no subtraction, no judgment. Life then ceases to be a chaos to control, and becomes a river to observe, to flow with, and to learn from. Peace does not come from a quieter world, but from a mind no longer disturbed. When the mind is calm, both fortune and misfortune feel light. When the mind is clear, even suffering becomes a lesson. Today you are invited to embark on a journey back to yourself. A path built upon 10 habits inspired by Buddhist teachings, the same principles that have helped humankind for thousands of years rediscover serenity amid life's storms. This is not a journey of theory, but of experience. Each habit is a doorway that opens into a deeper layer of consciousness, from the first breath of the morning to the way we face daily afflictions. If you've ever felt weary from the cycle of worry drifting through trivialities without knowing why, this is your time to pause. To stop, not as an escape, but to see clearly. Because when you stop, you see. When you see, you understand. And when you understand, you naturally let go. This journey does not promise to change the world, but it will surely change the way you exist within it. These 10 habits are not new yet. When practiced with mindfulness, they have the power to renew your entire life. In a world obsessed with going faster, this is an invitation to go deeper into yourself. No blind faith required, only an open mind and patience. For enlightenment does not arrive amid noise, but in silence, in that sacred instant when you truly face yourself. Begin now, for simply by being present in this very moment, you've already taken the first step on the path of awakening. Every journey toward awakening begins with returning to the breath, to the body, and to the quiet within. The Buddha taught that the mind is inherently still. It only becomes troubled because it moves. Thus, the first step to peace is not to seek more, but to remove fewer words, fewer worries, fewer meaningless echoes. When you begin your morning with a few minutes of silence, you create space for your mind to be reborn. It is not merely outer quiet, but inner stillness where thoughts cease to collide, and the breath becomes a bridge reconnecting you to yourself. Sit down just 5 minutes, relax your shoulders, and listen to the rhythm of your breath. Each inhale and exhale cleanses the residue of yesterday and reminds you that you are here now. In that moment, you are no longer someone racing against time, but one who observes time flow in tranquility. After silence comes the body. In Buddhist teachings, the body is seen as the vessel carrying the mind across the ocean of life. If the vessel is damaged, the mind cannot rest. Therefore, caring for the body is not vanity, it is practice and expression of gratitude for being alive. Every step, every movement, every meal can become a meditation. When you walk, know that you are walking. When you eat, know that you are eating. The body is the gateway of mindfulness. When the body is tended, the mind has a place to dwell. A healthy body is fertile soil for the seeds of wisdom and compassion to grow. And finally, simplification, a small act that is the root of great peace. In modern life, we often mistake being busy for being important. We do much, yet few things truly matter. Buddhism teaches simplicity brings stillness, and stillness brings clarity. Each morning, instead of drowning in an endless to-do list, choose just 3 things that truly matter. By setting priorities, you are not merely managing time, you are training the mind to let go, to focus, to discern what is truly worth keeping. Those 3 things need not be grand, perhaps finishing an unfinished task, spending time with loved ones, or simply remaining calm in a difficult moment. When your life has order, the world naturally feels more harmonious. Silence clears the mind. A steady body anchors it, and simplicity lightens it. These three foundations are the roots of all higher practice. If you wish for a life that is both simple and profound, do not begin by adding, begin by subtracting. For sometimes removing just one excess thing is enough to see the whole truth of who you are. When the mind closes, wisdom ceases to blossom. When the mind opens, everything becomes a lesson. Buddhism teaches that a wise person is not one who knows much, but one who is always ready to learn again. Thus, learning is not the accumulation of knowledge, but the cultivation of humility, the willingness to bow before what one has yet to understand. Learning is not confined to scriptures or teachers. It lives in every breath, every failure, every word spoken by another. The wise do not seek perfection. They seek truth in each experience. When the mind learns, even suffering becomes a teacher, and mistakes turn into a path of practice. Each time you open your heart, you ascend another step on the ladder of awakening, not to surpass others, but to understand yourself. To keep the beginner's mind is the secret of wisdom. A beginner does not rush to judge, does not fear being wrong, and does not strive to prove. They look at the world with curiosity and gratitude, knowing that each day they can still learn is another day they are truly alive. After learning comes gratitude, the deepest layer of awareness. In Buddhist teaching, gratitude is not only thanking what is pleasant, but honoring even what has caused us pain. For suffering shapes our growth, and adversity reveals the limits of ego. One who has not yet learned gratitude is still attached. One who truly feels gratitude has already opened the heart. Each evening before closing the day, spend a few quiet moments in reflection. Be grateful for those who appeared, whether they brought joy or challenge. Be grateful for your work, for it gives you the chance to contribute. Be grateful even for your mistakes, for they teach humility. When you live in the energy of gratitude, your mind naturally softens, worries shrink, and everything becomes clearer. Gratitude frees us from the cycle of craving. When we stop demanding, we begin to see that we have enough. And when we see that we have enough, peace begins to arise. The Buddha taught, "The one who knows contentment is the richest of all. That richness does not lie in possessions, but in the fullness of the heart. Every time you say thank you, you plant a seed of serenity. Each time you learn something new, you water that seed so it may grow. Learning expands the mind. Gratitude expands the heart. When both mind and heart open, the world no longer feels narrow. And when you walk through life learning and grateful, you move as one who fears losing nothing, because you have come to see that everything is grace." People often think compassion is directed outward, to love others, to help the world, to relieve suffering. Yet in Buddhist wisdom, compassion does not begin with action. It begins with a state of mind. An exhausted heart cannot give deep love. One who has not learned to care for themselves cannot truly care for others. Thus, self-care is not selfishness. It is the foundation of compassion. When you listen to your body, rest when tired, eat when hungry, and find stillness. When restless, you are practicing kindness toward yourself. One who understands the value of rest is one who respects life. One who pauses when the heart is weary is listening to the voice of wisdom. Compassion begins with acceptance, accepting that you too have moments of weakness, days of imbalance, and limits that need to be embraced rather than denied. The moment you stop blaming yourself for not being perfect, you plant a seed of compassion within. Compassion is not indulgence of the ego, but the ability to see yourself with eyes of understanding and love. When you forgive yourself, you naturally forgive others. When you treat your own flaws with gentleness, you grow softer toward the imperfections of life. Caring for yourself is not just about sleep or healthy food. It is about nurturing the soul through meditation, writing silent walks, or simply taking a few deep breaths to return inward. These moments may seem small, yet they are when your inner energy is renewed. When the heart is full, it radiates light. When it is depleted, irritation, fatigue, and impatience easily arise. Let each day include a moment of quiet restoration, not to escape life, but to return to your inner source of light. The Buddha said, "One who truly loves themselves will never harm another, for such a person knows that the suffering of others is also their own." When you live in the energy of compassion, you no longer seek joy in proving, competing, or controlling, but in understanding, listening, and sharing. Care for the body to nourish the mind. Care for the mind to soothe the world. A warm cup of tea, a deep breath, a moment of stillness. Sometimes, that is all it takes for your inner world to grow peaceful again. And when peace fills you within, you naturally become a small lamp that lights the peace in others. Never before has humanity been so connected, and yet never before have we felt so lonely. The small screens occupy our entire day from the moment we open our eyes until we close them at night. Each notification, each message, each stream of updates gradually erodes the stillness within. We scroll not to learn, but to fill an inner void. We listen to everything except ourselves. Amid the countless voices of the world, the voice of our inner being fades and then disappears. The Buddha taught, the mind cannot reflect truth if the lake's surface is disturbed. And today our phones are the wind that keeps the waters of the mind from ever settling. Thus, practicing stillness in the digital age is a form of modern meditation, not in temples, but in the midst of daily life. Setting boundaries does not mean cutting off, but knowing when to stop, knowing when to listen and when to be silent. Establish periods of no screen time, mornings before work begins, meals shared with loved ones, or a few minutes before sleep. These are moments to withdraw your mind from the chaotic current of the world and return to the rhythm of real life. Try turning off the internet for 1 hour. You'll see the world does not collapse, but your mind grows calmer. When your attention returns home, you begin to hear your own breath again, to feel the light, the sounds, and the warmth around you. Every moment, not torn by technology, is a moment you cleanse the flow of inner energy. Such stillness is not merely outer quiet, but the ability to still the mind amid noise. You may be in a crowd, yet remain centered. You may work amid the clatter of keyboards, yet your heart is as serene as one in meditation. Stillness is the strength of mastery. Boundaries are the wisdom of sufficiency. The less you are pulled into the whirlwind of information, the more energy, focus, and clarity you preserve. The world is not wrong for being noisy. It only becomes dangerous when we forget how to be still. In an age where the blue glow of screens illuminates our faces more than the sunlight itself, learning to turn off the device and listen to your breath is a gentle yet powerful act of rebellion. It is how we reclaim sovereignty over our own minds. Remember, not every connection nourishes you. Some connections pull you away from yourself. So keep sacred spaces of emptiness, to listen, to breathe, to truly live. When you dare to be silent amid the world's noise, you begin to hear what has always been there, the serenity already dwelling within your own heart. In Buddhist teaching, letting go does not mean losing. It means returning to freedom. Every object we cling to, every memory we refuse to release, every thought we cannot set down, all are invisible threads binding the heart. Thus, decluttering is not merely a task for the hands, but a ritual of the spirit, a form of daily meditation. When you tidy, you are learning to let go. When you let go, you are learning to understand. Each item you release is a small liberation from attachment. Begin with small things, a drawer, a corner of the closet, your phone. Look at each object and ask, does this still serve my peace? If the answer is no, let it go with gratitude. A person living in a small house may not feel weary, but one living in a crowded mind rarely knows peace. The home outside reflects the home within. When you keep too many unnecessary things, energy ceases to flow, and the mind stagnates like still water. Releasing material possessions is the first lesson in impermanence, that everything comes and goes. Holding on does not make it last. It only makes you heavy. Let your space be light, so wind and sunlight can enter freely. Only when space is created can energy be renewed. After clearing the outer space, clear the inner one. Some memories have long faded, some wounds have healed, yet we hold on to them as souvenirs of pain. Some words unsaid, some anger unspent, still echo in the mind. Each time the heart clings to the past, the present is stolen. Cleansing the mind does not mean forgetting, it means choosing to release so you can continue to live. Write down what still lingers within you and watch it drift away like clouds across the sky, not grasping, not chasing. In that breath, you realize the mind is originally empty. It is only attachment that makes it heavy. Decluttering is also an act of honoring the energy of the present. When we cleanse our living space, we renew our consciousness. When we release the old, we make room for the new. A tidy room breathes easily, just as an orderly mind breathes freely. An empty table at the center of the room can become a space for ideas, just as a tranquil mind is fertile ground for awakening. The world teaches us to accumulate, but Buddhism teaches us to release. The more we cling, the less peace we have. The lighter our hearts, the closer we come to freedom. So let decluttering become a daily meditation. Tidy your home to cleanse your mind, clear your mind, to brighten your life. When we remove what is unnecessary, we begin to see what truly matters. And when we dare to leave space, life itself knows how to fill it with what was always meant to be. Mindfulness is the heart of all spiritual cultivation, the golden thread that connects body, mind, and life itself. Without mindfulness, we move through the world like sleepwalkers, chasing external noise, reacting by habit, and missing the present moment. But with mindfulness, every second becomes transparent, every action becomes meditation, and every breath opens a doorway to peace. The Buddha taught, "There is no path that leads to mindfulness. Mindfulness is the path." To live mindfully requires no temple and no ritual, only your full presence. When you eat, know that you are eating. When you walk, know that you are walking. When you speak, know that you are speaking. In that awareness, the mind returns home, the breath deepens, and life itself becomes light. Mindfulness does not pull us away from life. It allows us to live more deeply within it. A slow meal, a conscious step, a gaze filled with presence, all are meditation. When you work, work wholeheartedly. When you rest, rest completely. When sadness arises, acknowledge it instead of fleeing from it. It is that simple awareness that liberates us from suffering, for we are no longer identified with our emotions. The observing mind is different from the reacting mind. Observation is awakening. Reaction is delusion. When you know you are angry, anger begins to dissolve. When you know you are worried, worry loses its grip. The energy of mindfulness is like light. The moment it shines, darkness disappears. The practice of mindfulness requires not strain, but steadiness and gentleness. Your mind will wander, but each wandering is an opportunity to return. Do not scold yourself for distraction. Simply smile and come back to the breath. Each return is a quiet victory over forgetfulness. Over time, you will notice the shift, less judgment, less entanglement, more compassion. When mindfulness takes root, the mind is no longer dragged by noise, but becomes a still lake, reflecting everything as it is. Mindfulness also opens the doors of gratitude and empathy. When you are fully present, you begin to see the beauty in the ordinary raindrops on leaves, birdsong at dawn, the warmth of a cup of tea. You realize life is not lacking in miracles. We have simply not been there to witness them. And when you are truly present, every moment becomes sacred. To live mindfully is to master the art of stillness amid motion. It is not about seeking peace in distant places, but returning to the peace that was always within. Every breath is a doorway, every moment an invitation. When you know how to stay in the present, the past no longer binds the future, no longer frightens, and life returns to its purest form. Peace, right here, right now. No journey toward awakening is complete without reflection. Reflection is the mirror through which the mind examines itself, the pause that allows us to see clearly the path we are walking. In Buddhist teaching, wisdom is not born from knowledge, but from insight. One who pauses to look within is already walking with wisdom. Each week, set aside a quiet moment and ask yourself, Was my mind peaceful this week? Did I live with mindfulness or get swept away by ignorance? Did I act with compassion or only with reaction? These questions are not for judgment, but illumination. For only when we see clearly can we truly change. Reflection is the art of looking back without self-blame, of recognizing our missteps without diminishing ourselves. In this process, we learn to understand ourselves as we would an old friend, knowing that some wounds need time, some mistakes need forgiveness, and some limits need acceptance. Each time we look back with kindness, we dissolve old karma with the light of awareness. Perhaps this week you rushed, lost your temper, or strayed from yourself. It's okay. What matters is not how far you've wandered, but whether you stop to return. Reflection is that return, a return to calm, to trust, to the innate goodness that has never left you. After self-examination, set an intention for the week ahead. In Buddhism, intention differs from goal. A goal is outcome-based. An intention is direction-based. Intention carries no pressure. It simply reminds us to live aligned with our chosen values. When you set the intention, this week I will speak with kindness, or I will listen with mindfulness, that very intention plants a wholesome seed in the field of your karma. And at week's end, look back to see how that seed has sprouted. Every small act, every gentle thought is the manifestation of wisdom growing within you. To live reflectively is to live with direction. Those who examine themselves are not led by life's currents, for they carry an inner light to guide their way. The Buddha said, "Be a light unto yourself." That light is not somewhere far away. It is the wisdom polished through contemplation. When we learn to pause and draw lessons from experience, both joy and sorrow become materials for growth. Every failure is a lesson, every wound a meditation, every day an opportunity to practice awakening. And then you will realize the deepest truth, peace, is not the reward at the end of the path. It is how you walk the path itself. Reflection is the final breath that gently closes this journey, calm, profound, yet opening into a new horizon. For when you learn to listen deeply to yourself, you begin to hear the echo of the universe within your own heart. And in that moment you no longer seek enlightenment, for enlightenment has already become who you are.